Welcome to the 111th episode of the Nerdom and Other Nonsense anime podcast. That's right, that's 111, bitches! Today we'll be breaking down... Yay. Oh, fuck you. Fuck you, Leo. Today we'll be breaking down anime in the air during the 11th week of the summer 2019 season. As always, we include timestamps in the description of the YouTube video and the podcast feed if you only want to hear about one or two specific shows.
Or 11.
Since we spoil literally everything, and Leo's a fucking bitch, and he ruined my happiness, and now I'm just grumpy. My name is Kat, and if I ever lose my right and left hands, I want Leo and Bcom to become my right and left hand men.
I call dibs on the right.
Leo and Bcom.
Damn it, Okay, I'll take left, it's fine.
That's weird. Now I'm just imagining, like, sitting on both of your shoulders and being like, pick that up. Put that in my mouth. Do this.
Well,
do that.
Leo has to wipe, so good luck with that, Leo.
Great.
I'll just be like, you have to cut off your left hand, and you have to cut off your right hand, and you're going to donor them to me. Man hands.
You would have two very proportionally different sized hands.
Yeah.
I would.
That'd be very weird.
Oh my gosh.
Oh man. One of your hands can play piano, the other one can play like some drums. It'd be great.
Every woman's dream. I'll get a girlfriend in no time. It'd be great.
Well, you're gonna want to like slap people with my hand because it's like meatier and has more weight to it, I feel like. And then you're just gonna want to like caress people's faces with Leo's hand. It's like Leo's gentle hand. So since this podcast is all about 11s, apparently, to kick off the nonsense section, I watched a movie called They Were 11 from 1986. I actually watched this a few weeks ago.
Sounds like a trauma movie. Like they all, something terrible happens to them.
Oh, it does. So I guess Icy Rose suggested this to me. He's a friend from the AA podcast, like Discord server and everywhere. And he had come across this because it had been like said that it was an inspiration for Astra Lost in Space. And so I wanted to watch it and see like, oh, what's the deal with this? Because it's like a movie from like 1986. Like,
were you able to figure out how it was an inspiration for it?
Oh,
Astra?
Hell yeah. Let me tell you if any of this sounds familiar. A bunch of kids go to a space academy and there's 10 of them. And they end up being tasked with like a mission to like run a spaceship for several months as it like orbits around a planet. But when they get like as soon as they get to the spaceship, they look around and they're like, "There's 11 of us instead of 10. Who's the traitor? Who is the extra person?" So it's a lot like Astra, where it's like they know there's a traitor, and they're trying to like sort of seek them out, but at the same time they have to work together because there's a lot of like perilous things on this ship that they have to deal with in order to survive. But they didn't
know their own classmates, so they didn't understand which one of them was
They were all wearing helmets, and so they basically had just come out of an examination, and they had just come together for the first time. Like, because it was like an entrance exam for this academy.
Like they did for Astra for the camp.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like they all just came together and they were all wearing helmets. And so when they get to the ship, they take their helmets off, but they realize there's 11 people and they're like, oh no, we fucked up.
Okay, because I was just imagining like they all kind of knew each other, like it was a class, and then suddenly they went into space and they're like, there are 11 of us. Which one of us doesn't belong? And like no one could name the one. Because none of them know each other. I mean, that's a very millennial thing to happen. Let's be real.
Yes, fair.
Like, who knows everyone in their class?
Everybody just looks at their cell phone and doesn't know anyone around them. Yeah. Like one of the interesting characters in this movie, though, is like this character who is obviously like the love interest. Like you can tell from the beginning, but they have no gender. Because they grew up on a planet where until a certain age, like they are just basically a gender or whatever, and then they can choose basically to become a woman or a man. But in order to become a man, you have to like fulfill certain requirements. Because like on this planet, men like they marry like 8 wives. And like the women get treated like shit, and the men like just chill. So your default
is a woman, but you have to like study to become a man.
Yeah, basically, she needs to like
what the fuck?
they need to prove themselves to become a man. And so, like, her whole goal with, like, this academy is, like, become a man and, like, fucking rule over some, like, harem of women.
Oh my god.
But hilarious. I really want to spoil the ending so bad. All I'll say is, like, the way that ends up at the end is just so bad. And so 80s and so dumb. But, like, that's the only part of the movie I, like, didn't like very much. I thought the rest of it was actually kind of fun as they're trying to figure it out.
I watch it more now so I can drink while I watch this.
Oh,
and, like,
you would love this. You would love this.
Oh my god. I want to be a man.
Man, actually, if we ever group watch this, I would just love to be in voice chat to hear you, like, screaming at the last scene of this movie. It'd be fun.
I mean, I'm not going to pretend that having, like, a harem of 8 women doesn't appeal to me, but, like, god damn. Like, of course. Of course.
So, yeah, it's a pretty fun movie overall, like, actually, and it holds up very well as being from, like, 1986. It has some, like, very nice animation and art in it. It's, like, pretty damn well made, so I would recommend checking it out. And yeah, it has a lot of similarities to Astra, so, like, keep an eye out for those, for sure. So, yeah. You guys get up to anything between our last podcast and this one, which was not a very long time?
Well, I watched some of the middle Evangelion movie because my friend pirated it and he was watching it. It was very well done. Like, animation style was amazing. They, like, overhauled everything. So I'm gonna go buy them and watch them myself.
No, you're talking about, like, the Rebuild movies, like the newer ones?
The three, yeah.
So you watched the third one or
the middle one?
The second one? Yeah. I really like that second one a lot. Yeah.
It was very shiny. That's all I can say. I mean, I'm not going to ruin, like, but just the animation itself was the part that amazed me the most. Just how pretty everything is. Holy fuck.
It's fun to go back to stuff like that and just look at it and be like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Imagine if everything was animated like this.
Yeah. And then tomorrow I'm going to a Viking festival, so it's going to be fun.
Oh, shit. Are you going with Ashglad? Or Thorkel?
No.
Or Thorfinn?
No.
I think you would make a good Thorfinn cosplayer. I'm just saying.
I mean, but I'm excited. I'm going to, like, drink mead and, like, throw axes, because I think they actually have an axe throwing competition.
Please don't kill anyone.
I mean, I imagine they're not going to have anyone nearby for me to kill with an axe. I'm also pretty sure the axe isn't going to be that sharp.
I hope not. I really want to do axe throwing. My friend Andrew or Frigimon talked about how he did axe throwing a little while back, and it was really fun. Now I really want to do it.
My arms are weak as fuck. I'm sure I will fail miserably at this. I'm still going to try.
We got a place here in Indy, actually, Kat. A group of my friends went one time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. I've never thrown an axe. I've never even held an... Actually, I think I've held an axe, but like a chopping axe, not a real, like, throwing axe.
Leo, you could come out tomorrow. It's in Indianapolis.
No.
Yeah. You're like, no, that's fine.
Because of this damn podcast, I haven't been able to play Destiny all week, so tomorrow it's all about Destiny.
Instead of going out and socializing with people, like a
I will
normal
be
human
socializing a shit ton playing Destiny.
Destiny's very social, Kat. It's very social.
I also have to take my new cat to the vet tomorrow morning. So that'll be interesting.
What is your new cat's name?
So I'm 95% sure I'm calling him Hiei.
What's the 5%?
I don't know.
Inosuke?
It's pretty much going to be Hiei. I mean,
Zenitsu?
Like, he is my favorite character of the first anime I ever watched. And I loved Hiei, and he was like the crush of my life for years as a teenager, as a preteen.
For anyone who doesn't know, it's Yu Yu Hakusho is the anime.
Yeah, so it's only fitting that I name an animal after him, right?
Absolutely.
Sure.
And I get to tell the vet, like, okay, so the vet called today and was like, we're confirming your appointment for your new kitten. Have you decided on the name? And I, like, tried to tell her, and she was like, say that again? And I was like, I'll just tell you when I get there. I just thought to myself, like, it's not worth, like, and it begins, like, the saga of me desperately spelling Hiei and saying Hiei 6 times and explaining...
Any normal American would just, like, look at that and say, like, did you have a spasm on your keyboard? Like, what happened? Are you sure this is a name?
I think every time I'm talking with my mom, she's like, "What's the names of your cats again?" I'm like, Akane and Chio. She's like, "Okay," and just like flat-eyed, blank look, like, "God damn it, you're never gonna remember this, are you?"
Oh, yeah, no. I was like, it's not even where I just can only imagine. Like, I live in Indiana, like Midwestern.
Believe me, nobody ever remembers your goddamn cats' names.
No,
I'm not even sure Bob remembers them, and he fucking lived here.
So yeah, like I'm just imagining a long future of getting a call of, "We're confirming hi his appointment." Just having to deal with this, and then I'm like, am I sure I want to go full weeb with this name? And then I'm like, I mean, I did decide. It's
just commit
happening.
And do it.
I know. So, but yeah.
Oh, we need to apparently strengthen your arm strength there, Kat. So, let me ask you a question. How heavy are the dumbbells you lift?
Well, I guess we're about to find out.
Yeah, it's episode 11, and the question they're asking is, how are you spending New Year's?
Inside. And away from humans.
Okay, sounds good.
That's me, personally.
I usually don't go out for New Year's either. I'll go to like a party and like drink champagne sometimes, but typically I'm just inside too. Yeah.
I used to always go out.
Oh, really?
I'm always at some fucking club. I don't know what the hell you guys are talking about. If you don't have a thing of champagne in your head and there isn't some DJ blasting a song at New Year's, what is your life even?
Good. My life is
comfortable.
Comfortable, cozy, safe, relaxing. Anyway, this show starts off with the girls inside watching the NHK New Year's Song Battle, which is like a yearly thing since like the 50s. But it quickly moves on to a joke about how the two teachers, or two of them, Rumiko and Satomi, who are insanely hot, by the way, I think I'm just going to say that like objectively, are drinking beer and imagining we'll be single for another year. And I was just like, yeah, that's realistic. It's like, come on, it's so insane.
Yeah, I just like every female in the show is just like, how are any of you single? This makes no fucking sense.
It's very bizarre to me that like there's so much emphasis on you shouldn't be single, and like I don't know, it's weird.
Yeah, it is kind of strange. The girls then make their shrine visit, and they go to some crazy shrine with like 1,000,000 steps up this mountain, and it's for the muscle god Takemasukuru, who is being worshipped there. And so there's like a bunch of buff dudes at the base of the mountain getting ready to like run up the steps. And Hibiki's like, oh, I'm not so excited about praying to some niche muscle god. But then Gina like searches up on her phone that it's also known for answering romantic wishes. So Hibiki's ready to go, of course, because she wants a boyfriend. Ayaka also takes a break to tell people like, oh, by the way, climbing steps is like a really good way of getting exercise. You should probably take the stairs sometimes instead of taking the elevator and the escalator, she says. And I was like, wow, what amazing advice. I've never heard that before.
Yeah, never in your life have you heard that.
They give like a formula for calculating how many calories you'll burn, but it's not very useful because they don't give you like any units or like necessary like factors. Because the formula is like for ascending stairs, time times weight times 0.0349 times age correction factor. And I'm like, okay, but what's the age correction factor? How do I figure that out? I mean, I guess I could try and look it up, but... And then also, like, is the time in minutes? Is it in seconds? I assume it's in seconds. Is the weight in kilograms? I don't know what's going on here. So yeah, the formula wasn't very helpful, but they do say that climbing 400 steps is like a 15-minute jog in terms of burnt calories, which is kind of crazy, actually.
I don't know if I believe that, honestly.
I don't know. What do you think, Leo? I like. It seems like it's not enough, but maybe it is.
To do what?
Like to climb 400 steps, would that like really burn as many calories as just like jogging for 15 minutes, you think? I mean, you're working a lot of like big muscles like in your legs. So I could see it working out. I don't know.
It might be close. I'm not sure.
They claim it is, at least. I don't know. Yeah. And they also give a formula for descending steps, which burns calories, but not as many. So the girls make it to the top of the mountain, only to find a bunch of half-naked buff dudes screaming out, "Macho-sama! Macho-sama!" Which, like, they translate as "Oh my macho," which is weird. And the priest...
it's a little weird.
Yeah, it was, like, a little awkward. The priest emerges. Of course, it's Machio. Apparently, his family runs this shrine, and he helps out on New Year's. So
okay,
like,
this says when you stair climb for exercise, you burn twice the fat half the time than if you run.
Oh, wow. That's nuts.
I don't know.
Oh,
if
man.
if it sounds too good to be true, it usually is.
Well, climbing steps sucks, so I kind of believe this. Like, climbing even like 2 flights of stairs.
So it says you place higher demands on your lower body muscles by virtue of lifting your body weight upward against gravity. Mm-hmm. Furthermore, your muscles must balance and stabilize during both the climbing and lowering phase.
Okay. Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
It's just putting your body's doing a whole lot more going up a flight of stairs than it is running at 30 seconds, I guess.
Yeah. The girls are all worried that their wishes for boyfriends won't be answered, but Machio reassures them that it'll all work out as long as they wish from the area around their pectoralis minor muscle. And they're like, why is it always about muscles, Machio? And then the next day, the girls are like eating ikayaki, or fried squid, which Akemi says is rich in taurine, which helps to reduce fat. And the girls are like, oh, okay. But they're also like a little dismayed because the gym is closed, the pool's closed, and they don't know how they're going to get a good workout over the New Year's holiday when everything's closed. And so Gina's like, well, what if we did a street workout, which they also call a ghetto workout? It's all the rage in US and in Europe. And so they go looking for a park, right? And they want to use like parallel bars and like monkey bars and all that sorts of stuff. And they get to the park, and it's basically just a fucking empty lot. And there's like one pull-up bar in the center of the park. And the girls are like, yeah, this has been happening around Japan. They've been removing playground equipment, and they don't allow exercising.
I heard it's because I looked this up online, so I was like, this sounds like something weird. Mm-hmm. And I guess it's because a lot of cities, like, people don't want, like, kids running around and being loud. And they complain about it. Imagine that being the loudest thing in a big city area is the park. Right. And then Japan, you have no idea. And then I guess also like old people want it for calisthenics because they have those weird like people who come and like sit in the park and play like music, and people come and do calisthenics, and the equipment gets in the way.
Freaking old people ruining everything.
Is that why?
I know.
I wondered how true that was.
Yeah, I also wondered, so I'm glad Kat looked that up a little bit.
So this almost makes me wonder if this is just another example of like only old people are in Japan now, so they're dismantling all of the equipment.
They outnumber everybody else.
So they can't really figure out much to do to exercise, but luckily Akemi brought the book by that crazy like Ozu guy who we saw like an infomercial of like earlier in the series and stuff, and it explains that you can get a workout without equipment, and they show off exercises like chest and back, like isometric workouts where you have like your hands in front of you and you're like either pushing them together or like pulling them apart to work like your chest or your back. And then like pike shoulder press where you get your body into like a pike position and then like have your whole body weight like pressed down on your shoulders.
That one looked kind of cool. I liked that one.
Yeah, I like that one. I kind of want to try that actually. Though I think I might kill myself, so maybe no. And then body weight arm curls where you take like one arm and like press against your other arm and then try to curl against that pressure. Which is cool because it works the tricep on the arm that's like holding you back and it works the bicep on your other arm. So it's a pretty cool way to like work both things at the same time. And of course you can adjust the pressure really easily. So, and like the resistance of all these things. So it's like a good way to not like overdo it. But yeah. And then so they're getting a good workout, but then like every mom in the neighborhood stops by and starts gossiping about like how shady they look. And I'm just like, get over yourself, Japan. Like, again, like Kat said, like this is the worst thing you have to deal with is like four girls.
Oh, I know. It's like, there are people on our street like making very subtle noise in a public park. Like,
yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what Japanese people would do if they had to deal with some of the shit in like American cities.
Yeah, really. It's insane. So the girls go looking for something fun to do after all this, and Gina reminds them of their failure at the Idol audition last year, and says there's a New Year's amateur hidden talent show that they could use to redeem themselves. And it's like the same TV network, and it has like the same TV producer guy who's like worried about competing with like networks that have like a swimsuit competition and like this star-studded like historical drama going on at the same time. But then he sees the girls on stage, and like Gina comes out and she's like, I want to break the air chair Guinness World Record, which is just like sitting in the air for like 11 hours. And he's like, no, fuck that. He, like tells the like woman on stage, like, tell them to do something else. And they're like, all right, we'll do a wrestler's bridge. And so Satomi gets into this position because she's got like the luchador mask on again to hide her face. And like, so yeah, she does that thing where she presses her head against the ground and then like does a bridge, which I think Machio showed us earlier in the series, because I remember talking about it. Because he did like a sit-up out of this position, which was insane. But yeah, she just does a bridge, and like Ayaka comes and sits on her. And like amazingly, somehow this produces like the second highest ratings in that time slot. And they say like specifically like a lot of women from 20 to 34 watched. But like apparently the highest rated thing that night was a nipple slip in the swimsuit competition.
Yep.
Of course.
So yeah, in the end, Jason Skatham tells the TV producer about this Silverman's Gym like tour thing that's going to happen, and tells them they can like televise it for real big ratings. And after the credits, the exercise of the day is like a glute bridge, which is just like a little easier form of the normal bridge where you keep your head and shoulders on the ground and just like lift your butt up at like an angle.
The bicep bridge looked really worrisome to me. I was like, I feel like you would hurt your neck. I don't care what they say about you not, I'm like, no, I would hurt my neck.
Yeah, they were like, oh, you can twist your neck left and right. And I was like, oh, God, no.
I was like, no,
they say be careful with it. And when you get advanced, then you can twist your neck.
Yeah, but I'm like, let's not say we did.
Yeah, exactly. I was just like, oh. Let's say it's good for wrestlers because wrestlers are worried about getting neck injuries.
Wrestlers need that neck muscle, yo. Or whatever.
They're always sticking their neck out, Then
I'm bummed.
It was like not the best episode, I would say. It was okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I was like, well, okay. I don't know. They're getting a little lazy. I think a lot of shows are getting lazy towards the end, though. So I'm not going to blame them that much.
Mm-hmm. Fair.
Okay.
Well, right. I mean, it's not cool. It doesn't. It makes it a more mediocre show. I'm just saying.
Absolutely. Like, yeah. I mean, I think some shows are still going strong, but yeah, there are like some lazier
the ones that will be
episodes.
Remembered after.
Yeah.
I always think like there are the shows that are very fun and that are going to be special to a certain select people, but are not high quality made shows. I think this is one of those shows. Like little niche shows that like some people are going to hold and be like, this is wonderful, but like really we know it's not a super high quality show.
Like this.
And you have your like garden variety trash seasonal bullshit that we watch for some reason.
Yeah.
And then we have like the actual really good ones that you're like, oh.
Yeah, this does feel like it's sort of running out of gas a little bit. And like with most really good shows, episode 11 is like one of the best episodes of the series because it's setting up for a really big finale. And they sort of set up for something here, but we don't even really know what it is or why we care. So, yeah.
Don't worry, guys. There's plenty more material out there for a season 2.
Oh,
I would still watch a season 2.
I would watch it, yeah. I don't know if we would cover it, but we'd watch it.
It depends on the season. Some seasons, I mean, there's really not enough, so who knows?
All right, tell us about the Maidens.
The Maidens. All right. So, episode 11, Maidens in Your Savage Season. What did they call this?
Inappropriate conduct between the sexes is now forbidden.
Now forbidden. That's such a long name.
It is.
So, at the beginning of this episode, or I think the last episode they mentioned it, they announced that Jujao was pregnant. And that was like Rika's friend, the tan friend who looks like one of those weird makeup girls.
Gyaro girl, yeah.
Gyaro girls, yeah. So they announce that she's pregnant and she's not coming back. And like Rika got this like little cute basket from her and stuff, and it's very sweet. So this is a big conflict because Rika, I mean, really likes Jujao. It's her friend, and like she wants to still defend her choices and everything and not think badly of her. But she also knows that like there's things about this that she disagrees with. And Hongo has like a more negative view of the situation. And so Rika and Hongo end up fighting about this in the clubhouse.
Yeah, I liked how Rika stood up for the girl. Like,
I did too, because, you know, like, people make mistakes. It doesn't make them bad people.
And I think it is true that, like, the stuff that Hyuta has been doing is, like, kind of sketchier. Like, like, I don't know. I mean, she's not knocked up, but, like, she is, like, doing this illicit shit with a teacher. Jujo just got knocked up because she's a dumb teenager.
None of it really is bad. It's just that, like... Yeah. So it so happens that Jujao got pregnant. That's really the only difference.
Pretty much, yeah.
Well, like, and for God's sake, you know the Japanese government is celebrating that they got somebody fucking pregnant.
Yes, we have one. But yeah, I mean, like, in the end, this is like the weird quid pro quo of all this stuff. Like, it's all good and fine until there's a consequence, and then suddenly the girl's a whore, right? Mm-hmm. So, like... Really, it's all the same, and the only difference is that, whoops, she got pregnant. But, like, of course, society has views on this. So, later, Momo and Kazusa struggle with the argument that Rika and Hongo had in their clubhouse. And they're like, well, they say it's a great thing to have a baby. And Hongo, and, you know, Momo's like, well, but they want you also to have, like, a job and graduate college and stuff, and... They're debating it and sort of trying to sort through everything. And then Momo, suddenly out of nowhere, is like, Kazusa, if you had to sleep with Milo or me, who would you choose? And of course, Kazusa's like, that's random. And like, she's confused. And of course, eventually she's like, well, I'd pick Milo since he's a boy. And I'm, you know, not attracted to women. And this upsets Momo because it just highlights to her, like, I have no chance because I'm a woman. And it does suck with that stuff. Because, like, you know, if you like someone of your same sex, your chances that they will like you are very diminished. And it's depressing. So, it is what it is. Momo stands up. She's going to leave, tells Kazusa, like, watch out for Nina. And it's all very dramatic. And I'm like, all right. There's this sequence where Hongo is talking with Milo about, like, we're probably fine with what happened. Like, it'll be kept to ourselves. And they're having this interaction, and Hongo is, like, thinking to herself about how she's really vulnerable with Milo, and she really still loves him and loves the way he laughs, and she's not going to give up on him. And, you know, that's great and everything, but good luck with that. Nina meets up with that old dude, that creepy dude, and tries to sleep with him. So she's like, I just want to be destructive. Let's be real, that's what it is.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
And then ends up not being able to do it, and like slaps him, and then runs.
I think she like basically punched him.
She punches him. Yeah.
Does she punch him? I don't know.
It was
but then
pretty
she's like,
hard.
I'm sorry, and then she leaves. And then there's a weird scene where I guess she goes to the clubhouse right after, because like Kazusa comes in and Nina is in the clubhouse, and Nina just randomly starts talking about white nose hair, and I'm like, Nina, what the fuck? And of course she's talking about like, you know, this old dude who she was going to sleep with, and he had white nose hair, and how it's like swallowing her up and all this. But of course, Kazusa doesn't know what the fuck's going on. She just knows that Nina is talking about some weird shit with some white nose hair. So I'm like, what are you doing, Nina? I don't know. And then randomly starts talking about how she loves Izumi, and like she's gonna confess to him and all this shit. And honestly, Nina just needs to shut her mouth. Like, if she wants to do it, then do it. But she doesn't need to involve Kazusa in it. Like, just stop being, I don't know, she's been a little bit selfish.
She is, but yeah, and she's trying
is
kind
she
of
trying
to do...
Is she trying to do the right thing, though? Because I'm pretty sure she's really just trying to stir some shit up.
She's either trying to do the right thing or she's trying to have a fight, but it ends up being kind of good, I guess.
So, like, she's not trying to have a fight. She's trying to just cause chaos, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. And she succeeds in that.
But she's also trying to be true to how she feels, though, at the same time, you know? Like, she's trying to be true.
Yeah, but she's doing it in a bitchy way.
Understatement?
So I find Kazusa's reaction interesting. Like, her first reaction is to be, like, understanding and kind. And be like, you're my friend. Like, whatever. We'll still be friends. Like, they hug and everything. But it's not really a true reaction. It's a fake reaction. That's the thing. Because, like, then she runs home and is upset. And is like, what was I supposed to do? What was I supposed to do? And, like, this is the thing. It's like, this is the reaction that Nina is causing, right? It's not a genuine thing. It's just a bunch of chaos. I don't know. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. It's whatever. I did think it was interesting that Nina is acknowledging that, like, she was trying to act all adult, and really she's not that much more adult than anyone else.
Oh, I was going to ask you guys if you ever encountered a situation where you let a friend go after someone that you liked, or, like, vice versa, like, your friend allowed you to, like, go after someone they were interested in, like, when you were growing up in high school or something, like, any weird drama like that?
No.
Like, I know that happened a few times in my friend group, especially among girls who both liked the same guy, and they kind of just had to, like, decide which one gets him. Like, so I was watching the scene, I was like, this kind of reminds me of that stuff, because, yeah.
I had, like, a weird dramatic thing where I was dating this girl, and then one of my best friends, also was dating this girl, but we didn't realize that she was two-timing us. And then we figured it out. Then we had a fight about it, including slapping.
Ooh.
And then
Jesus.
decided that, like, we're just going to let it go. And, like, both just didn't talk to that girl anymore.
That's probably the healthiest way to deal with that, honestly. Yeah.
Man. That was about all. So, yeah.
Fun times.
Yeah, fun, dramatic high school times. Okay, so then Kazusa, like, right after she runs home all dramatically, like, immediately goes to Izumi and is, like, wanting to sleep with him. And I guess I also understand this reaction, because it's like, if I sleep with him, he's mine! And it doesn't matter what she says to him. Ha ha ha! But, like, it's good that Izumi said no, because I'm pretty sure it would have just been a giant mess.
I also just felt like, I got from that scene that, like, when he says, I want to treat you right, I'm like, yeah, okay, like, Shun said that too, but I also just really feel like
that's always bullshit.
Well, I don't know if it's always bullshit, I just think it's, like, a way to say something when you're not ready. Like, I don't think he's ready for this. Like, he doesn't know how he feels.
That's the truth of it. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Like, it's always a little bit bullshit. Yeah. Like, that's not really... Like, I don't know. But,
like, if he was ready, he would, like, accept her, probably. Like, even though he does notice that she's, like, her lips are trembling. She's, like, really nervous. She's showing lots of signs that she's not ready, and, you know, she blows up at him. But, yeah. So, I don't know. Maybe he's being considerate, but I think he's also just, like, really confused. So.
Yeah, it's also interesting that he brings up Nina, like, when she says this.
Yeah.
Like, as a reason why. That doesn't help. And
yeah, that's not helpful.
No. And of course, Kazusa is just more rejected now, and it's just going to be more dramatic. And then, of course, as soon as she goes home after being rejected, like, the panties are there. I love the background, like, dun dun! That was amazing.
It was really good.
It was funny, and then also, like, serious, though, because, like, it's funny, the background music and everything, but then, like, her cutting up the undies, like, into these itty-bitty pieces is very symbolic, really. Mm-hmm. It's like her cutting up her thought of having sex and all this. So it's interesting. For sure.
I just felt like she was trying to cut them into such tiny pieces that you wouldn't be able to tell what they were.
Well, that too.
But, like, there's also some other... But, yeah. And then later that night, Rika and her boyfriend are talking on the phone, and Rika's still trying to work out this conflict in herself over Jujao, and it's cute that he's like doesn't let her badmouth herself. He's like, stop badmouthing the girl I love, and it's adorable. Mm-hmm. And suddenly, like, Rika's mom barges in and is like, "What? I can't believe you!" And then we get a cut of like the school making an announcement the next day.
What was cool about that is like you hear her mom stomping towards her room.
Yeah, mm-hmm.
And I was like, "What is that?" I was just like, "Is this the show or something happening outside? What's going on?"
It like transported me like back to
Oh yeah. Don't remind me.
But yeah, and it's been decided by the school that boys and girls can no longer date because of the Jujao thing. And that Rika and Amagi are being expelled to make an example because they were seen near a love hotel.
No. It wasn't about the Jujao thing. They did it because they were seen at a love hotel.
No, it was about the Jujao thing.
It's both.
It
was that. Come on.
I mean, it's mostly about the Jujao thing.
They specifically said it's because they saw them.
Thing.
Yeah,
this
but
is just another example of like, oh fuck, we have to make an example of them.
Yeah, we can't have another girl getting pregnant at our school, or else we'll be shamed forever.
But the show specifically says it's because they saw Rika and Shun outside a love hotel.
But
specifically that one thing.
But that's in the context of the girl getting pregnant.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. So you're both right. Yes, okay.
But I'm more right.
And I just found that no, you're not, Leo. Fuck you. And I just thought this was hilarious because like any school that says like boys and girls can't date, like it's not gonna work. It's never gonna work. You're never gonna stop people from dating, and like it's just comical to think that you could.
Actually, that's a really good way to fix Japan's declining birth rate, is just to tell all high schoolers they can't date, because then you'll get a lot of babies.
They'll really want to date.
Yeah.
Like, the worst thing you can do to a teenager is be like, don't do this. We forbid it. Like, that's just going to make it more exciting. I don't know.
Either they start hiding it better, or they end up in college and they don't know how to fucking date somebody.
But yeah, so the group goes to confront the principal about the issue, especially Hongo, because I think she was going to kind of throw herself under the bus. But Milo was already in there doing it and saying, like, I'm the one that was there in the hotel with this girl who I'm considering a future with. And, like, Rika was there to rebuke me, like, because I'm her advisor. And she felt a certain way about it. And principal's like, well, we don't care. We're expelling them anyway, because it's a good example.
Fuck those guys.
That's the vice principal is the one who's
bitch.
Like way behind this.
But then the principal agrees with it.
Yeah.
I'm like, you're a fucking bitch. And then later Milo goes to the clubhouse and like Hongo is there. And Milo's like, I'm going to do something about this. Don't worry. And Hongo's like, there's really no time to waste though. And they kind of have like a monologue back and forth. And then Kazusa sneaks up behind him and like hits him like karate chop almost. And it doesn't work. And she's like, but that's what they do in the movies. And I'm like, and they tackle
Dude, at this point, I'm like, what the fuck is happening in this show? We have assault now. This is very serious.
Yeah.
But also really goofy at the same time.
It was a big. But yeah, as Amy thinks about earlier, in his room and gets a call from Kazusa. She's very cryptic, and I could not really understand what she was trying to tell Izumi in this call. Like, she tells him she's going to commit a grave sin, which I guess is referring to the fact that they just tied up this teacher.
Yeah.
But, like, has to do it for everyone and herself. And then, like, will you wait for me on the other side of the wall? And I'm like, what the fuck is she even talking about? Like,
she's making so much dramatic shit out of this. It's ridiculous.
I mean, it's like it's a very teenage thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
And then they have this whole scene where they dangle Milo out the window and they like call a bunch of the teachers and they come and they're like, we won't give him up back unless you stop this bullshit. And they're like, we don't want to deal with this. We're going to go home and we're not going to take this seriously. And I'm just like, what the fuck?
Wait, what? They didn't do that. They were stood there in shock.
No, they were like, you'll calm down in a minute. Milo, you'll take care of them, won't you? And then, like, they just leave because they're like, they'll calm down by the time school starts the next day.
Unless we had totally different subs, that is not what happened at all. They were very concerned. And that one teacher's like, here's a copy of the email I handed out. And then it's the last shot is the girls saying that, and then they stop.
Yeah, I think that happens at the very beginning of the next episode.
Oh, you can tell I watched it.
Okay. I'm like, I have absolutely no fucking idea what you're talking about.
Because I was like, what the hell?
Yeah, it's really annoying. It's pretty dumb.
I don't know.
Okay.
Oh, by the way, earlier in the episode, there's that weird scene that Hitaha has where she's like looking at the teacher and she's like thinking about how things went down at the hotel and how she felt like really pathetic, but how that felt like good. And how like it's like it seems like it's her fetish now or something, because she's like, it seems like she should be giving up at this point, but she's still not giving up because like apparently all that stuff that she went through felt good to her. I didn't know what to make of that.
It can feel very refreshing to be vulnerable to someone. I think that's what she's getting at.
Okay, yeah. That just seemed weird because I was like, oh no, please be done with this.
I also think when you're in this weird like heartbreak, unrelented love type situation, I actually read an article where they talk about how people can be addicted to the sadness of that.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that's part of what she's feeling too.
Oh, okay.
You know how people just hang on like their sadness sometimes a lot, like in love. That might be part of what's going on there.
Emo love.
Emo love, yes.
Jesus Christ.
Hongo's all about that emo love.
And I also noticed that like Leo pointed out that like this whole like kidnapping the teacher, that students can't have sex with each other thing felt like really sudden. And I just wrote in my notes like, welcome to Mario Kata shows. Like she often does this stuff near the end to like wrap things up with like a really like convenient plot device. And so like, yeah, this is just another example of that. I think it works okay, but it is kind of hilarious at the same time. I don't know.
Yeah, a little bit. I feel bad that I merged the beginning of next episode with this episode.
Oh, it's okay. It's like in the first 5 seconds of that episode. It doesn't make
You had me so confused. I'm like, no, that did not happen. I swear to you.
I was just pissed off because I was like, how do you not take it seriously? How do you like, it'll be fine?
Because they're girls in high school and you're just like, it'll be fine.
But it won't be. But whatever.
Okay. Let's talk about some Demon Slayer, episode 24, Rehabilitation Training. However you want to say his stinking name. Kyojuro heads out to take care of like some demons that wiped the first squad that like found them, and I guess they supposedly could be one of the 12 Kijuji or whatever they are. Of course, Zenitsu is still crying about having to take his medicine, and Murata comes by to check up on Tanjirou. If you remember, he's from like the mountain arc, and he helped him out a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And he starts talking about how he had to give a report in front of the Hashiras, and goes on and on about how terrifying they are. Then, of course, like Shinobu walks right up behind him, and Murata's like, "Oh shit!" He's like, says his goodbyes and like runs away in terror. And then Shinobu tells them it's time for their rehabilitation training, and off they go. But it's just Tanjiro and Inosuke so far at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And then 2 weeks pass by as Zenitsu's talking about how lovely Shinobu is and how her voice is so nice. And then like the other two come back in a very defeated state and just crawl into bed. Apparently this has happened every day since their training. And Zenitsu's like really worried because he has to go through rehabilitation training tomorrow himself with them. So next day arrives. The training consists of 3 parts. First is the 3 little girls stretch you out, which more looks like they are breaking Inosuke.
I was just laughing so hard at this.
They're like bending his back and he's like, ugh. The second is you like play a game with like these cups of tea and you sit across from somebody else and you're supposed to pick it up and throw it in the other person's face.
Waterboarded. I don't know.
Yeah, but if they touch your hand, they can't throw it. But it's just basically Kanano just being way too good and constantly getting water thrown into Tanjiro's face. And then third is it's a game of tag. That's all it is. You just have to catch the other person. But of course, Zenitsu immediately has some beef with the other two before they start training. He's basically absolutely furious with them because they've been playing with girls all day and they always act so exhausted when they come back, but they've been living the fucking dream life.
This fucking Zenitsu stuff actually got to me. Like, I was laughing pretty hard at his bullshit this episode. You're frolicking around with girls. Why are you so upset?
So the training starts.
It kind of pissed me off. I was like, really? This is your focus?
So the training starts and Zenitsu just laughs as the girls like stretch him, and Inosuke is impressed because he is always fighting back tears through the pain. The second part, he's good at it. He's actually going against Ao. He's good at it because he just wants to touch her hand, so it always stops her from throwing the tea. And he's like, I would never throw tea in a girl's face. So it's like, Jesus Christ, dude.
Why doesn't he just walk around with a fucking rose in his mouth all day? I just don't get it.
Yeah. Lastly, it's tag, and he basically just hugs Ao and gets the shit beaten out of him for it. And then suddenly Inosuke's like, oh, I can do this too. And he runs in there and he beats Ao at tag in the T game also. Mm-hmm. And it's only Tanjirou who's the only one with a losing streak and continues to get beat by Kano at everything. None of them can seem to beat her either. And Inosuke and Zenitsu eventually give up after 5 days. But Tanjirou is a little bit more hard-headed. He's still in, and he asks her to train him. But then one night after being challenged by her or whatever, Tanjirou, for the life of him, can't figure out how he keeps losing in Kanao. There has to be something she's doing differently. And he notes a couple things that he noticed about her. Scent is different, and it's more like the Hashira's, and that even her eyes are different. And that's when like the 3 little girls track him down and ask him if he can do the total concentration breathing like Kano and the Hashira's. And he's like, what? So he's finally figured out why Kano... I'm not saying that right.
It's Kanao.
Kanao always wins and says that it's really hard to do it for a short time, let alone through an entire day and sleep like the girls say they do. He gives it a try anyways, and eventually the 3 little girls tell him they may Kanao blow into gourds and blow them up for training. And he
Which is insanity.
Yeah, it's insane. You're going to hurt yourself. He continues to do his training that Urodake taught him while doing the total concentration breathing at the same time. So that's kind of cool. So he's actually making progress. But then while meditating one night, he gets visited by a shinobu. Tanjiro tells her he can always smell anger coming off of her. She's kind of surprised, and she explains it's because the demons killed her very beloved big sister, and she hates like how the demons are always killing and all that stuff. La 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 la. And she also says she wants Tanjiro to carry on her wish that humans and demons could one day be friends.
Yay!
Friends forever.
Yeah, I kind of liked that backstory behind like Shinobu's false smile, like how Tanjiro can tell like she's actually angry, she's not really smiling for real, which we already knew kind of, but it's nice to have it spelled out. So that was good. And I just really like shonen training episodes, and like this may not have been like as cool as the Boulder one from really early in the show, where it just had such an interesting ending, but it was really chill and relaxing, and I think that like Tanjiro mastering that, being able to breathe kind of at all times, is obviously going to be a huge step forward for him. So
yeah, but also I guess I forgot to say this, but all the Hashiras can do this also.
Yeah, they've
the
all
total
like
concentration
breathing.
breathing.
Yeah,
they have lungs of steel, basically.
Basically, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Anything else, guys?
Yeah, I just want 3 little girls to come like stretch me out. It'd be
Don't
really
be
fun.
creepy. Now you're being weird. Don't be weird.
I don't think like 3 little girls could stretch me out, by the way. Like I don't think they have enough like strength to do it.
They were like pulling like wrestling moves on him. It was kind of funny.
Basically. That was funny. All right, yeah, we can move on to Astra.
Astra.
Are we saying it in like very Midwestern way?
Astra. Lost in space.
Astra. All right.
God damn it. Episode 11, Confession. Ooh, yeah. Charce begins.
This episode aired on September 11th. God, so many 11s today.
I'm no fool.
Oh my God.
What? It's a song.
Charce begins to tell his story how he is the clone of the king and was told every day his mission was to become the body of the king, and he is not a person. He is basically the property of the king. He was never allowed to leave the castle grounds and spent a lot of time studying.
Why would they let him study, by the way?
I don't know. He can even study it.
Is it to like grow his brain matter or something? Like I don't, because like he's just like a body.
Oh. Yeah, but the other kids said parents said they kept their clones close to them so that brains would develop right. So by letting him study, his brain will develop.
So I guess the brain has to develop so that when you like transfer the memories and consciousness into it, it like is compatible or something.
Pretty much, sure. It's all science.
Okay.
What he liked the most was animals and plants, and spent a lot of his time on the castle grounds with the princess hunting bugs and plants. As soon as they said princess, I'm like, I know who this is.
Mm-hmm.
But when he turned 17, the Genome Act happened, and the king decided to kill his clone. He gave Charce the mission he is currently on, and the device that created the wormhole. In order for him to kill everybody. That was his mission. Charce says the king's word is absolute, and he still basically wants to kill everybody. This also means his story about being a noble was a lie he quickly made up. And Kanata tries to convince Charce that he really thinks he thinks of them as friends. It reminds him that, you did stop the wormhole twice when you were attacking us. And Charce says once he found out Ares was who she really is and all her resemblances to Princess Sierra, he's decided to change his plans and take her back with him because she is the princess's clone. Which explains why he stopped the wormhole both those times, because it was going to get her. So you ready for some backstory on the princess? Cool.
Sure.
It wasn't exactly a question. She was strongly opposed to her father's rejuvenation plan because she sees clones as people. She wouldn't let him create a clone of her, and he obtained her DNA behind her back anyways, made the clone. And when the child was born, the surrogate mother, Emma, wanted to leave, and the princess helped her escape. Emma asked her to name the child, and when she turns her handkerchief over and sees her name backwards, she names the child Ares.
This is the first time in the episode I laughed really hard when it's like, what should I name this clone? And she turns her handkerchief over.
This one for me was just a. The second one was I really reacted to the second.
Oh, thing. Yeah, we'll get to that.
So one day as Charce and the princess are walking around and looking at plants, an assassin comes running out of the bushes and shoves the princess off a cliff. The king only keeps him alive because he needs his body and locks him in a cell for a year. Charce kind of goes cuckoo a little bit in there and is glad when the king shows up a week before the camp and tells him it's time for him to die. And he's like, it's smiling. He's like, yeah, it's finally time. They wonder how Ares was found since she was in hiding. Charce says it was probably the assassins who found out and got her on the team for the camp, because if the king found out, she would likely become his heir. And Kanata has had enough and screams that Ares is Ares. She's not this fucking Sierra princess you keep talking about. Even after when Charce was going to deliver Ares to the king, he was then going to go back to space and die alone.
Yeah, what the fuck? Like, I guess he's been brainwashed, but still, like, come on, dude.
Yeah. But the others feel sorry for him, and they tried to convince him to come back to them, and there's like a lot of them crying, and like Charce even cries himself. And then suddenly he reveals he had a second wormhole device up his right sleeve.
That's bullshit.
He got two of these fucking things. God damn.
Oh, it's just amazing that humanity like somehow got to a place where they could just make like multiple wormhole devices that are basically the size of iPad Nano or iPod Nanos. Like, just put them up your sleeve.
Yeah. He activates it, and Kanata tells everyone he won't do anything as long as Ares is by them, but Kanata suddenly realizes Charce's true intentions as the sphere moves towards Charce. Kanata then runs at the sphere and uses his repaired boots to jump over the sphere and tackle Charce to the ground. And then they're like, the sphere starts coming towards him, and Kanata like holds out his hand. He's like, stop! And like, it starts sucking up his hand, and then Charce freaks and turns the sphere off. And that shows us he really does care, but it does take Kanata's right hand that he stuck out off at the same time.
Uh-huh.
And Kanata's like, Charce, you owe me super, super big time. And when I get that ship, I need you to be my right hand man. And raises his stump of an arm into the air. I snorted so fucking hard, I thought I hurt myself for a minute. I was like, ow, ow. Like,
I mean,
really?
I'm still laughing about it now. Like, it's so fucking ridiculous. And then they do that cheesy like scene where like you see like an old
his
like
hand
picture.
comes up right next to it and holds his arm. It's so bad.
And then they're like holding each other like up as they walk away. Like, it's it's the most ridiculous thing ever. I can't imagine like the people working on this anime. They must have been just like hilariously laughing as they came up with this.
All the times to have a pun. It was so bad.
Oh my god! It must have been so much fun to adapt.
I have tears in my eyes.
Oh, I also noticed. Okay, so there's like the backstory scene of like Ares with her adoptive mother. I guess her name's Emma or whatever. And she gave her those like headphone things that she wears.
They're like hair accessories.
Whatever they are, like the little
I don't even know what they
hair
are.
things that she wears. When she was like, I don't know, like 8 years old, 6 years old, she's wore them ever since. And it's just like, oh my god. It's like, oh, and it's the backstory of her hair accessories. Oh my god. We needed to know this.
Yeah.
My other observation was this show has a thing for throwing people off cliffs to their death. Because like Kanata's teacher died the same kind of way. No, he wasn't like thrown off, he fell, but like still, it's like somebody dying from falling off a cliff.
The number one killer in Astra. Cliffs.
Cliffs. Oh, man. Anything else about Astra before... Man, we have one final double-length episode next week.
God, I'm going to die. No, let's take a break.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, we'll be right back. During the messages, I will watch more of this Knicks game that I have up on my second screen.
Damn.
Jesus.
Knicks are going to win the championship this year. Let's go!
Hey, dude, you into anime, manga, and all that radical stuff?
Oh, yeah, man. It's tubular.
Then you should totally check out the...
This transmission has been hacked. If you want discussions, debate, reviews, and all in between, you must listen to the Anime Radicals Network at www.animeradicals.com. There's timely reviews, revolutions, mecha, and much more. Find it on iTunes, Google Podcasts, and all podcast catchers. The Anime Radicals Network.
The revolution will be simulcast.
Hi, I'm JD, your host of the Red Leaf Retrocast. Your best location to learn, remember, and relive the past to the present. Our podcast has 4 shows for you to listen to between retro gaming, modern gaming, anime, and even wrestling. The Retro Gaming Cast covers discussion topics, and each episode we discuss retro games picked based on a decided theme for that episode, ranging from space all the way to console specials like the old handheld Game Boy. Our Modern Gaming Cast is monthly and covers video game titles that were released in that previous month. Each Anime Cast, we focus to review a retro anime each and every episode, like the original Mobile Suit Gundam to the racing hit Initial D. But that's not all. We also keep up with the seasonal shows, by occasionally doing impressions and reviews as well. Finally, our last show is about wrestling, where we keep the rising indie scene up to date, while also covering shows from the bigger promotions like Ring of Honor, New Japan, and WWE, so we cover it all. We also cover a retired wrestler every episode in what we call the Wrestler Spotlight, and are currently on a quest covering old WCW Thunder episodes from the late 90s, every cast. So if any one of those casts sound like something you'd like to check out, that's the Red Leaf Retrocast, Gaming, Anime, and Wrestling, found at iTunes, Stitcher Radio, Spotify, and all your favorite podcasting sites. Also, you can learn, remember, and relive the past to the present. We can't wait to see you soon.
And we just realized it's October 11th. Haha, I talked over Kat.
as we record, so many 11s.
There are a lot of 11s.
Yeah, and didn't we realize at like 8:11? Yeah,
Because when we stopped the first part, yes, it's stupid.
Well, of course. All right. Episode 11 of 24, Clear World. Dr. Stone. So this is a filler episode. Let me just tell you in the beginning what it is.
Kind of.
It's not kind of, it is a filler episode. Come on.
I mean, they do a lot of science shit. It's kind of cool. Glass is important. Glass is not filler. Anyway.
I mean, it is important, but like a lot of what happens in this episode is not super, super important. Let's be real.
Yeah, I guess it's set up for big episode coming probably.
Yeah. So they pull the melon off of Suika. Is that how you say your name? Suika?
Yeah, Suika. Suika literally just means watermelon in Japanese.
Of course.
It's not Suika?
It's like Suika. Yeah, Suika.
Suika. Okay.
Yeah.
So if you say it fast, it's like Suika.
So basically she's nearsighted and squints a lot, and that's why she was doing this. And she uses the holes, I guess, in the melon to narrow her vision so that it's better. That way?
Yeah, the pinhole effect.
I don't know if
Pinhole effect, yes.
That actually is a thing. It kind of works.
I guess that's why you squint.
Yes,
to make it.
You like less light coming into your eyes. Yeah, it's more focused. Yep.
Yeah. And he, of course, Senku's like, before we had these things called glasses and they were magical and blah, 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 blah. And it's very awesome. It's interesting.
We have technological eyes.
Yep.
Weird, nice way of calling us not four eyes. Wish I had known this in elementary school. I know I have like high-tech eyes, you morons.
Yeah, so they go to collect quartz sand to make glass for glasses. And I guess they need it just for like the quartz stuff to make the specific glass for glasses. Like it's better somehow. I don't know why. Is it because it magnifies? Is that why?
I think it's just because it's really clear.
No, it's just the best thing to make glass with. Glass, period. It has nothing to do with glass. It's just glass.
Like glass by itself does not make glasses. You have to have magnification.
No, that's the curve of the glass that gives you the magnification.
Is it the curve?
It's the curve of the glass.
Yeah.
Because I was like so confused.
And
with it. I
like
was
the
like, how the
thickness
fuck?
as well, but yeah.
Okay.
Thickness and curve, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So they make a super thick piece of glass, and then they use this weird barrel to like polish it by like turning the barrel to grind, basically.
Yeah, he's also controlling the curve of that glass with it at the same time.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, I guess that makes more, because I was thinking like I don't know how they make prescriptions, but I feel like just glass is not. But yeah, okay, that makes sense.
I think he's just starting at one end and slowly moving towards the other until she can see really well.
Yeah, he's just like eyeballing it, basically. Yeah.
Yeah. And then they finally take Suika out to a field of sunflowers and put this new helmet that they have the glass installed into on her. It's still a melon helmet, and I'm like, why couldn't you just give her a pair of fucking glasses? Like, why couldn't you use something else?
Because
so that
she's
she
used to
the
it.
Fucking melon on her head.
She's
That's
so
stupid.
used to it. Yeah, I thought the same thing, but I was like, see, Kat, the little girl needed the watermelon to help her see, and you yelled at her for wearing the watermelon on her
she's
head.
still fucking wearing the watermelon. So it didn't make any difference, did it?
He would then have to make glasses frame, and that's a whole nother chemical procedure and process. So, yeah,
Yep. See, Kat, it's all practical.
Yeah. But yeah, there's a lot of, I don't know. It's interesting. It's cute and everything, but like, I don't know. It's a bit dramatic. She does start to cry.
I thought all the stuff with her was kind of cute.
Yeah,
it's cute. It's just
touching.
not very, I don't know. But it is cute. Kohaku trains
Cat
Kenro.
has no heart.
I don't like this melon. I don't know. Like, this whole melon thing is stupid. In my
Kat,
opinion.
not a fan of watermelon.
No. We need a cat and melon hat now.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. Kohaku trains Kenro and Genro for the tournament thing. Genro says Kenro has the fuzzy sickness, which I guess is what they call like nearsightedness.
He's getting fucking steampunk goggles.
You think so? Okay.
Yes.
Cool. I buy it.
Yeah. And that's why he doesn't have a sense of distance. And I guess Kohaku's pissed off about this and doesn't get it. And I don't know why he doesn't want to tell her, though. That's weird.
He's ashamed.
He has his pride. I don't know.
I mean, should you be ashamed for the way you are? I don't know.
Not everybody can be perfect like us, Kat.
He also doesn't probably know of any way to fix the problem. So, like, why would he even tell anybody there's a weakness,
Yeah. But yeah, Senku is excited to make more glass things. They burn obsidian and to make an iron straw. I didn't really get that. Like, why burn obsidian to make an iron straw? But
well,
some
they
of the
also
stuff in here,
they use that like foam that comes off of the obsidian as it's burning to like insulate like the blowing furnace for the glass.
Yeah,
like,
I was going to say the foam. It was the foam that came from it that they used for whatever.
some of the stuff they do, they explain it too quickly, and I'll be confused. So okay, that's good.
They do make a straw for the glass brewing too. So yeah,
Yeah.
Cat's not used to this learning thing.
All right, it's a lot of complicated science bullshit. Fuck you. And they can blow glass, and I'm like, that's really dangerous. Actually, if you're not familiar with how to blow glass, like you can fuck your lungs up really bad.
Yeah, don't inhale.
Well.
I've just heard a lot of like people having their lung explode and shit from blowing glass.
Where is this happening?
Because it can if you accidentally inhale a little bit.
Oh my god, that's crazy.
Like, so yeah, this is actually very dangerous what they're doing. And of course, their first attempts are a disaster. And Genro tries to get a local craftsman to help them with the glass making. Since
This is when you say it was dangerous, but they fucking made gunpowder one episode.
It's also true.
Yeah.
I'm afraid they're gonna blow a lung and not their whole body up. Oh no.
I don't know. It just seems like a really bad way to die with your lung exploded.
Mm-hmm. Glass blowing is like really fucking cool though. Like just watching videos of that is
cool,
so awesome.
But terrifying.
Yeah.
But yeah, Kaseki, the craftsman is named Kaseki. And like, I love how he gets tied up because he's like, no, I don't want to fucking do that. Fuck you. And he's like, I don't want to be a part of your kinky rope play. And Senku
Cat's
comments.
like, how many times have I heard that line?
Especially from older men. Yeah. Old men and fucking beards.
But yeah, Senku comments that like Kohaku's shield, which was painted by this craftsman Kaseki, is like very beautiful. And he's like, you don't have to do anything. You just sit over there and watch us blow glass. And of course, Kaseki gets very irritated by how badly they're molding it and like really interested in the thing and wants to do it himself. And finally he gives it a try. And he's like ripped. Like he's got all these muscles just out of nowhere. It's weird. And he gets it right away and makes like all their glass that they needed. And so now they have all their beakers and lab stuff. And then they waste like 7 minutes with this Kingdom of Science map thing where they just review everything that they've already done. Like I said, filler episode.
I liked it, but I agreed that it was too long because it was kind of cool. It kind of gave you an idea of how his camp was laid out, but then it kind of just drolled on, and you're like, just get to the next fucking thing.
Like, I don't care if this is review. And then at the very end, Kenro and Genro discuss like how to get past this vision issue again, but Kenro basically just wants to pretend he doesn't have it. But then they go and ask for shiny spears anyway, because, they like their shiny spears. And Senku's like, I'll make a silver spear, but it may cost you your life. And then they end the episode like super dramatically. And I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
like,
I'm
why
curious.
end it that way?
Yeah, because they're like, oh, we have to get the key element for chemistry. And I was like, I wonder what this is. I don't know. But it might kill you. I was like, okay. Interesting. Curious. I don't know. But yeah, you're right. A lot of this episode was set up. I enjoyed it because I thought it had cute moments. But yeah, I really did not like that Mecha Senku, like, hey, look at everything we've built so far scene. It was just completely pointless.
I felt like it could have been done just way better, and it would have been totally fine and informational at the same time.
Right.
Yeah.
I still feel like Chrome is going to end up being the one who saves the day. But yeah, we'll see. Maybe it'll just be, maybe Leo's right. And like, is it Ginro? Yeah, Ginro is the older one, right? He'll just end up getting glasses, like steampunk goggles, and save the day. Who knows?
Senku is the main character. It's going to be him. Come on.
No, it's not. It's 100% not. Senku even said this episode, I don't know shit about fighting. Like, he knows nothing. Like, he's not going to do it. 100%.
I don't know.
It's Chrome all the way. It's a given, Leo. God.
Oh,
Would
Jesus.
you just accept it for what it is?
It's the final episode. Woo.
Yeah, Kat, we got one more episode given, and then we can go read the manga and actually find out what happens in the end.
Yeah. So, final episode. Mafuyu just finished telling Ritsuka that he likes him, and not in a friendship way. It's mutual. And like, I don't know. There's like a weird sequence where it's like Ritsuka has this like vision from the heavens, and there's like weird spiritual
There's fucking
shit
dinosaurs and shit. Like,
I don't know. It's weird. There's
the letters
like
for love, like appearing over the fucking horizon. It's ridiculous.
And then they have a weird monologue where they're like, he may look calm on the surface, but inside it was turmoil. And I'm just like, you know, he doesn't look calm on the surface. He looks creepy and weird. He has this weird look on his face, like, oh. And inside his brain, it like kind of shows you what's going on. And it's like this meeting between all the thoughts and emotions in Ritsuka's head.
It would be like that Pixar movie, like Inside Out, or like a bunch of things have had this idea where like, oh, all the various aspects of your personality are broke up into different people. I feel like Wotakoi did this at some point with one of their characters. I think that was the show. I could be wrong though. But like another anime did this where it's like, hey, it's a whole room of all of my emotions that are battling and we're gonna like talk it out kind of thing.
I don't think it was Wotakoi.
Maybe not. But it was something like that where a guy like had a whole bunch of conflicting emotions.
Yeah.
It's hard to remember.
Men don't have emotions. Bcom.
What? Are you crazy? I am not emotional about what you just said.
Cat, go.
Cat's like, I need to quit this podcast.
This meeting. In the meeting, he thinks of earlier in the year when two bandmates in another band that they knew were dating without telling anyone. And a lot of the bands had an ironclad, like, no dating within the band rule, and he's worried one of them will get kicked out. Mm-hmm. Or, like, should be kicked out or something. And he remembers, like, how he was like, I would never tolerate that, and blah, blah, blah. And, like, now he's in this situation, and he's like, fuck, and he comes back to the present after thinking about it. So it flashes to Ritsuka taking Mafuyu to Haruki's house. And he tells him that they need to talk about an announcement. And he basically just like, we're gonna date. And Mafuyu is like in the corner like, I just said I liked you. We aren't dating yet. Which I thought was cute. And Ritsuka kind of asked, like, can we? Like, I know it's going to cause problems. I know I was dead set against it. I'm sorry for any issues we caused, but, like, we really want to do this. And Haruki's just like, just make sure no one fucking finds out. And I wonder if he's talking about, like, because they're gay or just because, like, it's awkward if people in the band are dating. It's kind of interesting. Or maybe both.
I didn't get that either. Yeah, I really wanted more clarification on why he thought that would make them less popular. Like,
yeah, like I didn't know. It might be both. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
And the two of them hug Haruki together. And they go to Kaji's house too and tell him, but he's just like, congrats. And he like gives Mafuyu a huge box of CDs of music and is like, bye. His reaction is much different. Much more chill. And Ritsuka is attempting to be the boy in the relationship on the way back. He's like, I'm going to carry this box and you can't carry the box. And I'm like, this is dumb. But yeah, back at Mafuyu's house, Mafuyu offers Ritsuka some tea and his mom isn't home. And you can kind of see like Ritsuka's brain like being like, we are alone. Ooh, oh no. And then Hiragi messages Mafuyu and tells him like, I'm headed over. And so Ritsuka hastily leaves. And so Hiragi and the other friend visit Mafuyu and they chill, and while they're hanging out, he gets a text like that the band is taking promo shots the next day. And Mafuyu has to ask his friends what those are because he doesn't know.
Yep.
They basically explain, like, they're the cover shots that you use for posters and stuff for your band. And then they talk a little bit about Hiragi's band that Yuki was also in and how they have a temp guitarist for now since Yuki is dead. And how Haraki is actually the vocalist, and Mafiu is surprised by all this. Which I'm like, wouldn't you know more about the band that your ex-boyfriend was in?
You would think.
Yeah, it was a little odd. And then the next day, the band has issues taking pictures with a straight face, and they have like a cute little scene where they're trying to take these pictures, and they're goofing off a lot. I don't know. I guess I've never seen a band picture of them smiling. I thought about this because, like, why wouldn't they want them to smile? And then I was thinking about it, and there aren't a lot of band shots of people, like, laughing or smiling. They're always very serious.
It's not cool to smile. We demand to be taken seriously, is the picture that they took.
Yes. And Ritsuko's embarrassed by the photos, and I don't know. While they're sitting there, like, just reviewing everything, Ritsuko and Mafiu are studying for this test, and like this really upsets the others, and they're like, "Oh my god, rub your youth in our faces." And then like they're like, "Oh, are we supposed to know how older people think?" And it's cute, but also like wah wah, age differences. And then we kind of get a look into Haruki's life with this like next scene where I guess he has a barbershop friend, who's bi. And he uses Haruki because he has such wonderful hair as like a model. And a bunch of people who are watching the live stream of him modeling and like getting his hair done think it's a girl.
Yeah.
Which is so adorable because they can only see him from behind. And after they're done with that, he's talking with the friend about like, you know, how they're both bi and they've both dated guys and girls. And his friend asks him if he isn't in love with someone, and you just see like it's weighing on his mind a lot, like the whole unrequited love thing. And I thought that he was going to Akihiko's house after, but then I realized like he went to his house because he was at his friend's house, and like all of his friends are already there, and that weirded me out because I'm like, how do you go to your house and all your friends are there? Like who? I don't know. It's a little weird, but everything is draped in blue, and the others are there. And they're surprising him for his birthday, but like not really because he knew they were going to be there. And then they pie him in the face, and that's I guess why they draped everything so that it wouldn't get everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. It's a little random to me. Like why pie? I don't know. But okay, it's cute, I guess. What did you think? Think of this scene? Because I was like confused and weirded out by this whole scene. Like why the pie? Like I don't understand.
I was just like amazed that they went to the effort of like covering the entire room in like tarp.
I know, because it's just a pie. Like it's not that much.
We can't take any chance of making his house tiny, like the tiniest bit dirty. It has to be perfect. I don't know. I was like remembering old like Nickelodeon like TV shows, like guest shows that kids would appear on and get like hit with a pie and stuff. Like I was thinking of that shit when I was watching this scene. I was just like, I don't know why they're doing this, but this like brings back memories of those stupid like game shows from my youth. So I don't know. It was weird for sure.
Yeah, it was a little strange. I don't know. And while they're at Haruki's house, like Mafiu and Ritsuka are kind of talking like, "Oh, what's your birthday? My birthday is this," and like they're in that stage at the beginning where like you compare all your birthdays and shit, and it's adorable. And on the way home, Mafiu says like, "We should hold hands because it's dangerous," and like they get cotton candy at a festival, and it's all very adorable and cute. And you see Haruki take another picture of Akihiko because he fell asleep on his fucking couch again. And then he goes outside and just, like, thinks about, like, how he used to be happy with this one-sided thing. But, like, now after seeing Mafiu and Ritsuka, like, he isn't anymore and he just wants a girlfriend, which is interesting. I don't know if he's going to just give up or if he's going to confess. I don't know.
Yeah, that's the thing. It just, like, leaves you in the middle of their arc. And it's like, I guess this is where the manga ended at this point. Like, or, like this is as much as they're going to adapt.
They don't wrap anything up. And I kind of expected this to happen because it's a very common thing. Especially with even just regular romance anime, they do this a lot.
All the time, yeah.
And it's always very frustrating to me. Because, like, almost never do you get a season 2. And so it's really just manga bait in the end. And it's irritating and frustrating. And shitty.
Like, at least they somewhat wrapped up, like, Mafuyu and Ritsuka are in a place, like, where it's like, okay, they've had some closure, but, like, we get a sense of where things for them are going. Like, sure, they'll have some road bumps along the way, but, like, since I was, like, really invested in the Haruki and Akihiko stuff, and also, like, Ugetsu to some degree, and, like, how he and Akihiko would, like, resolve things. Like, none of that is resolved. And it's like, go read the manga. And I'm like, okay. I wish you had hinted at least at, like, where that was going to go. But, you know. You can assume where it might go, but we have no real idea.
Yeah, I mean, and even at the end, like, Ritsuka asks Mafuyu, like, what kind of song do you want to write next? And then he just says, like, next. And then they close the anime.
Yeah.
It's so shitty and fucking bullshit. I don't know. Like, I don't. This is not even a critique of this anime in particular. A lot of anime do this.
Yeah, it's just like a standard
thing. I wish they would
thing.
stop.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's very frustrating. Ugh.
It's too bad it had to end this way. But, like, given that it only had 11 episodes, like, it makes sense that this is where we're leaving off.
I guess.
But I do still feel like they wasted a lot of time at the beginning of the show when they could have been doing more. So, yeah.
They did. Yeah.
I don't know. I assume this is probably the best place to end it with this number of episodes, given what they have in the manga. Like, it probably gets into a whole nother arc, and it would be way too long to adapt.
I guess. I just got frustrated. I wish I don't know. They could have modified some stuff and made us a little more satisfied.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Oh, well. Leo, what are your thoughts on this final episode of Given?
Don't ask me until we get to the next episode.
Okay. The next episode is Vinland Saga.
Yay!
So what are your thoughts on this final episode of Given now that we're at the next episode?
I mean, don't ever ask me about Given.
Oh, okay. I see what that meant. All right. Episode 11, A Gamble. Apparently they skipped a week in between this episode. I'm not sure exactly why. I didn't really look up the reason, but...
Okay.
Whatever. Thorkel's men are marching through the English countryside, and the leaves are falling. It is autumn. They're talking about all the good food and drink you can have in fall, like dark English beer, freshly caught like herring and cod, cheddar cheese from Cheddar, and you could rape an English woman too. It's really fun.
Oh, it sounds like a great vacation. It reminds me of that time. No, go ahead.
Jesus. No, it's just like the nonchalant way. They were just like, oh yeah, English women. I was like, oh God.
Yeah, it was a little weird.
Yeah, and they have that like pin-up pose of like this like woman like go by the screen with the message like "Thou shalt not commit adultery." It's like all like for a joke, and I was like, okay, yeah, sure, wait. Asgeir says he won't be switching to Christianity because it's too restrictive, and that statue of Jesus that he saw in London made Jesus look like a pansy. And the soldiers kind of laugh about how like Thor and Odin would make Jesus's walking on water look like child's play.
Dude, this episode they so openly mock Christianity. It's not even funny.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You haven't even gotten to the worst parts yet.
And well, they're basically doing it for the benefit of Canute, who is like, they've captured and he's in this convoy. And like Thorkel tries to like provoke him basically, and he just remains silent. But Ragnar like calls Thorkel like a wicked dog for treating the prince this way. And Ragnar also tells all the troops that the 500 of them are gonna die because they're going up against like 16,000 Danish troops like whenever they get to the main force. And Thorkel's just like, the way that you fight and the way that you die is all that matters to me. Like he explains how the Valkyries are always seeking the Einherjar, however you pronounce it, the warriors of the gods who will live on eternally in Valhalla based on their like deeds as men on Earth, and so fighting against greater odds is like a good thing because like you have a better chance to prove yourself. At this point, that friar, his name is Willibald, he starts freaking out, saying, "I can see God." And the men give him like this like little barrel of liquor to calm him down. And Thorkel asks him, which of the gods do you believe is greater? Like Thor or like the gods of Asgard or, the Christian god? And Willibald is just like, whoever created liquor. So he obviously has some inner demons he's dealing with, and liquor is helping with that a lot more than praying to God at the moment. And Thorkel's men all laugh, and the convoy comes to a halt, and they notice some men hiding in the trees, like specifically Thorkel, like kind of like sees one like from far away or like hears him, and he takes a spear and like throws it through this dude's head. Poor dude. And their leader claims, like the guys who are up in the hills around them, claims that there's 2,000 of Ragnar's men surrounding Thorkel's men. And Thorkel's like, okay. And he casually sends Canute and Ragnar up the hill as if he's just going to hand them over. But then he starts like goading the men because he knows he has them. Because he's like, why don't, well, now that we gave them to you, why don't you do your worst to us? Come on, we're here, we're ready to fight. And the soldiers like can't hold themselves back because if they're to retreat now, they'd be seen as cowards, and like losing their honor is like tantamount to like losing everything basically. So Ragnar tries to talk sense to the men, but he just can't stop the inevitable fight. Thorkel just gets under their skin and they start charging at each other.
A situation like this, I'm like, it's clearly obvious what he's doing. Why are you letting him manipulate you like this? It's
the same thing with like Thorfinn and Askeladd like a couple episodes back. It's just like you can't like it's your honor matters too much in this time period. Like, you know it's the wrong thing to do, but you still have to do it because like losing your honor loses everything.
Yeah, I feel like, in my opinion, you lose your honor when you let them manipulate you like that. Like, that's clearly know what you're doing.
That's how smart people would think.
I'm bad. My bad.
No, it's just like, yeah, I think some of these soldiers maybe aren't like the brightest tool in the shed. You know, they're not thinking that way necessarily, unfortunately for them. Askeladd and his men are a bit further away, and he's like checking the wind and saying, oh, it seems good for us. And he has his men setting something up with barrels. And meanwhile, there's a shot of Thorkel, who is just like fucking cleaving through soldiers. Like limbs and blood are just flying every which way in the air. It's ridiculous.
It's pretty spectacular.
And he stops for a minute. He's like, oh, there's not 2,000 men. This is like 400 at best. This should be an easy fight. And then Asgeir notices something wafting in the air. He smells something, and it's like the smell of charcoal. And they look uphill, and they see these like clouds of smoke rising. And we find out that Askeladd had his men like pour like oil downhill and light it on fire. And the fire and the smoke are spreading in the direction of the wind towards the battlefield very quickly. Apparently Askeladd's goal was mostly just to confuse Thorkel's men for a bit. And he then has his men drench Thorfinn with water. And he like puts him on a horse and tells him like, go bring back the Prince Canute.
And the horse turns into Ponya.
Well, yeah. But the horse has a bad day. Like, we'll get to that in a second. But yeah, basically. Bjorn asks why Askeladd didn't just join with Ragnar's men to fight Thorkel straight up, because like they would have had equal numbers. But Askeladd's like, one, I don't think we could take Thorkel in an equal fight and his men. And two, Ragnar's men would have just like taken the prize for themselves then, because they had the more men than us. So as they're talking about this, by the way, they watch as this like poor deer comes running out of like the fucking wildfire and tries to like stop, drop, and roll. And it just doesn't work out for this deer. And then there's like men that are like, oh, it's venison. Woo! It's just like this poor deer gets destroyed. Yeah. Oh well. So Askeladd admits this was all a gamble though, because if Canute ends up burning to a crisp, they have to try and like deny that they ever knew that this happened and that they had no involvement with this, so it's risky because like if somebody tells on them, you know, they'd be fucked. Also, one of Ragnar's men almost pierces Ragnar with a spear. He's like running out of the smoke and trying to figure out where he's going, and Ragnar kind of scolds him, and he's like, you should always call out to like make sure you don't kill one of your own soldiers. And like somebody else calls out like, Ragnar, where are you, your highness? And the soldier, like, just having listened to Ragnar, is like, oh, his highness is right over here. And, of course, it's, like, Thorkel's men who come out of the smoke and are like, oh, thanks for telling us. They surround the prince and Ragnar, but then Thorfinn comes riding in, like Leo said, on a burning horse.
This horse is on fire!
And yeah, he like jumps off and he uses like his ninja reflexes to like easily take out the first soldier. Like he kind of like disappears, and like when he reappears, he's like already plunged a knife, or not the knife, his short sword into that guy's neck. And he's ready to take everybody else on, but then Thorkel comes up. He's happy to see Thorfinn again, and he starts waving his like somewhat healed hand, which, you know, he was maimed in their last encounter in London. And he tells Thorfinn like, "Oh, if your father was Thor's, your mother must have been Helga." And Thorfinn's really caught off guard. He's like, "How do you know that?" And Thorkel just goes off saying like, "Oh, I knew you were the son of the troll of Yom based on the way you fought. And Thor's is the only man in the world stronger than I am." So, damn. So he's a lot of respect for him. But before they can do anything, this nearby tree, like, explodes in fire and, like, catches one of, like, I think Thorkel's men on fire or something. And Thorkel realizes they don't have time to chit-chat. And he's like, "All right, you take the prince for now. We'll resume this later because we're all heading for the main force of King's Fane. So we're gonna bump into each other again." And so after like the smoke clears, like these two soldiers come out of it and they're like calling out for their leaders, and they both realize they're on different sides, and they're like about to like start dueling each other, and then they just get hit by like 50 arrows from Askeladd's men, and they both die. I thought that was pretty hilarious. And so yeah, Thorfinn does make it back with Canute and Ragnar. And Ragnar's like pissed at Askeladd for using that wildfire, which like scattered all of his men. But he basically has no choice. He just has to entrust the prince to Askeladd for now. And Askeladd is like kneeling. He's like, "I wish to look upon the visage of the prince," like his face. And he finally unmasks himself. And kind of like Inosuke from Demon Slayer, he has a more feminine face than you might expect. And a lot of the soldiers are like wondering, is the prince actually a princess? I guess we'll find out later.
I don't think so. I think he's just
a feminine,
childish man.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that would be my guess for now. I mean, it would be interesting if it was actually a woman, but I don't think it's going to go that way, especially based on the way that like King's Fane like talked about him earlier in the series. So I don't know. Yeah. I thought the use of fire here was really cool. Like, especially since it's like a dry, like autumn, like it makes sense that the wildfire would just like spread like crazy and be a really useful weapon.
Didn't they say it'd been like days before it last rained or something like that?
They did say that, yeah. So it was like especially dry when they did this as well. So it seems like a wildfire would be slow moving enough that it shouldn't be a huge problem, but like if it's like fueled by oil and shit, like it's actually like a really big problem to deal with. So
yeah, I mean, wildfires are unpredictable in the first place, but now that you have one, like you said, is fueled by charcoal and oil and being manipulated to go faster, then yeah, this thing's gonna be crazy.
Okay. Anything else about this episode you guys thought was interesting?
I'm good.
Okay.
I mean, it was really good, but
yeah,
it's just going forward in a saga right now. I don't know.
Yeah, it's kind of like just another episode. Like, I guess we got more of Thorkel's philosophy. Like, they've been like sort of fleshing out everybody's individual philosophy the last few episodes. Like, we had Askeladd's big talk with Thorfinn. Now we have Thorkel talking with Thorfinn about like...
That's true. I think it's interesting how everyone has their own things in life that are very important to them. And those things just dominate everything.
And it's nice to establish all of that before you have like a big climactic battle between these people. So yeah. Smart. It's good writing.
It is good.
Speaking of good writing, Carole Tuesday.
Definitely.
Episode 23.
You know what you should not do about this show?
Don't stop believing. Oh yeah. This episode, titled after Journey's famous song, which you'll never get out of your head now. Sorry about that. Yeah. So the drugs that Angela OD'd on were a mix of painkillers and like psychoactive drugs. not a good combo, I would say.
What do psychoactive drugs do?
They make your... I mean, I assume they're talking about like shit like LSD. Like, I don't know. But look up psychoactive drugs. Look if that's like an actual real term.
I will look this up. You keep talking.
Okay. Carole and Tuesday attend Dahlia's funeral, which I thought it was like kind of touching that Gus like couldn't bring himself to show up like to the public funeral. Later in the episode, he talks to her at her grave, or like talks to her dead body at her grave. But like, yeah, he just like was too kind of like cut up about it, and like given like they're kind of like, you know, they were kind of sort of quote unquote enemies but frenemies during the rest of the show. I thought that was kind of nice touch.
Okay. Kat is very familiar with psychoactive drugs. So many psychoactive substances are used for their mood and perception altering effects, including those with accepted uses in medicine and psychiatry. Examples of psychoactive substances include caffeine, alcohol,
oh boy,
cocaine, LSD, nicotine, and cannabis.
Interesting. Okay. Interesting.
So, fuck it. By being psychoactive drugs, who knows what the fuck she was on then?
She was on like a whole slurry of stuff, so yeah.
Yeah, she's got a nice smoothie going.
I guess.
The girls like find Katie, who's like Angela's manager at the funeral, and they ask about her, and they find out that Angela is just like still in like sort of like a coma. She hasn't regained consciousness. Meanwhile, there is these cops that find Skip and his band like walking on the sidewalk. And they basically just like come up to them and like act like really aggressively, and like they get one of
What
Skip.
killed me is the sunglasses he's wearing has a fucking camera on them.
Wait, the cop sunglasses? Really?
The cops do? Yeah, I specifically was looking at it looks like a fucking camera on his sunglasses. Otherwise, whatever the fuck that is, I have no idea.
Well,
so
I mean,
like I was like, it's got totally recorded. Everything's in Skip's favor. I mean, what the fuck?
Well, I mean, but like what they'll do is they'll release the video of like the one band member like being verbally abusive, quote unquote, to the cop.
And nothing else.
Exactly, yeah. So they'll like, that's probably what would happen. But yeah, like the cops like basically go aggro on them and get the band members to respond, and they make up an excuse to basically arrest them. And Skip knows it's all about, he wrote this song recently called Chains, which was about censorship, and now they're trying to censor him back, basically. Spencer visits Tuesday to ask her for advice because he wants to potentially leak the information to the public about Jerry's involvement in the bombing. And she wants to know what he thinks Tuesday would think of, like, Valerie would do about this. And Tuesday thinks well of her mother. She thinks, like, I don't think she wants to become president like this. I don't think she really wants this. And basically tells Spencer, like, it would probably be a big shock for her if you just leaked it. Why don't you try speaking with her directly and give her, like, a chance to, like, denounce Jerry and stuff. After seeing Skip getting arrested on the news, the girls invite, like, Ertigun, Tobey, and Kyle over to the apartment to talk about what they can do about this. And Tuesday realizes, like, her mother's proposals have led to all this in one way or another, and they can't let it stand, or it'll be the death of music if they have to keep, like, self-censoring themselves for fear of the cops. So
No.
the girls have the idea of bringing together a bunch of Mars musicians for, like, basically like a We Are the World.
Jesus Christ, I had the exact same thought.
Yeah, basically. I mean, it's the same. Yeah, it's like, it's that or like Live Aid or something. It's that type of concert where they plan to sing a song of freedom to push back against, like, the political climate. And while the guys note that there are a lot of obstacles to, like, making this come together, Ertigun is very philosophical, and he's like, well, when you stop thinking out or speaking out about your ideals, you may as well be a slave.
It feels very cheesy.
It does.
In the series this way.
I agree. I mean, I feel like we've sort of predicted that it was going to go this way for a while, though, like that they would sing a big song to, like, fix the world.
I mean, yeah, it's in every opening, but still,
it's still cheesy, though. I totally agree that it's cheesy in the end. Meanwhile, Jerry lets Valerie know about his suspicions towards Spencer and the journalist he's been palling around with, and Valerie kind of counters, like, by saying she's concerned about how that bombing happened at such an opportune time. So she's been suspicious about this at least, but this also confirms that she didn't straight up know that Jerry was involved. She just has suspicions about it. She's smart enough to put two and two together, basically. But so they're basically trying to make Valerie out to be somewhat of a victim here, which might be. I feel like for some people that might be a little bit hard to accept. Like it's definitely hard for Kyle to accept, and we'll get to that. Also, hard for me to accept, like my friend pointed this out. So on New Year's, apparently like a bunch of venues will be open because everybody's closed for a holiday. And I was like, they're like, okay, the Mars Immigration Hall is going to be empty. And it's like where Carole Tuesday played their first performance. But like, if New Year's is such a big holiday and it's like when you like colonize the planet and the Mars Immigration Hall is like your like beacon for the whole planet, wouldn't you think there would be something going on there that day? Like, it doesn't seem like it would just be empty that day. It's a little weird, but whatever. They're going to hold the concert there. And the girl's job is going to be to write the song, like the anthem for all the musicians to sing. Like I said earlier, Gus visits Dahlia's grave and basically just tells her, like, you're going to miss one hell of a show. And then there's like a montage as like all these different musicians around Mars find out about the performance from the people that are like trying to like recruit them. It was funny because there's like a lot of designs here that kind of just like looked loosely based on real people. And like if the show had gone on longer, we probably would have gotten like songs with them and stuff, you know? The girls are having their usual brain cramp trying to write a song, and the guys like change it up by telling them like, hey, by the way, you remember those like Piotr and like GGK people? They teamed up and they're like a duo now. And so the girls are like, okay, let's invite them to participate, even though that sounds awful.
Curious duo, yeah.
But more importantly, they realize they want to invite Angela. And so they go see her in the hospital, and they try to encourage her to participate, saying they really want to sing with her and stuff. But like, she's basically not ready to talk to them yet, and she just kind of hides under the covers until they go away. So yeah, Kyle tells Spencer that he thinks Spencer's being really naive if he thinks his mother is just going to give up on the election and like resign and not try to like cover up what Jerry did. Like Kyle has a lot of trouble believing in Valerie because his own mother apparently abandoned him and left him behind with like an alcoholic father that she couldn't deal with. And so he thinks that like all mothers are like untrustworthy, I guess. I don't know. So yeah, as they're trying to write their song, the girls kind of philosophize about the meaning of having a mother and how Earth is kind of the mother of all the people who are on Mars because it's like their same originating place, even if they're all separated now. And it seems like that's the kind of like narrative they're going to go down for writing this like final like song to bring people together. In the biggest shocker of the episode, they go to Desmond, who is not dead. Like, I was like almost 90% sure he died in that episode, the one episode he was in with Carole Tuesday.
Well, he was just in a coma.
I thought he just died because like it seemed like he was dying. Like I don't know. Like it seemed like he was fading away, and the episode that they did with him was like his last hurrah. But no, he's apparently still around, like in a coma. And he like wakes up and he's like getting the girls like invitation to come sing at the performance.
At the mention of Carole Tuesday, he wakes from his coma.
They bring him back from the dead to come perform. Tao, meanwhile, has like finished his cyber attack on like Schwartz, like the hedge fund guy, and he uploads like all the data that he recovered to like the government server or something, and he turns off all of his AIs. And then this new ED called The Tower, which is sung by Angela, plays. It's pretty nice. Over a montage of everyone. Yeah.
Oh, it was really funny at one point when they were like recruiting all the artists. There's this one that's kind of like in the background, but they're like recruiting Willie Nelson.
Yeah. I thought I saw like Marilyn Manson in there too. Like there was some like weird ones where like David Bowie type of guy like was in there. Yeah.
Like you're looking at him, you're like, I wonder who this could be. But there was a guy with two braided pigtails. I'm like, that's fucking Willie Nelson. Come on. Who else could this be?
Maybe Watanabe was like trying to get him like really bad. He's like, we're going to get Willie Nelson for this, but it didn't work out. Yeah, in the last scene after the ED plays, like the montage of like all the people who are in jail and like all the people trying to like get ready for the performance, Tao shows up in Angela's hospital room as the lyrics are singing like, "In a perfect world, we'd all be more like you." And so like she's really relieved to see him and happy that like somebody cares about her, because she was like complaining to Katie about.
I feel like she has a crush on him.
Oh yeah, she feels very close with him. For sure, at the very least. So, yeah, and I think he's like one of the only people who recently has sort of seen her for who she is, and like one of the only close people to her right now, like who can kind of save her from this downward spiral. So, I'm glad he came to see her, and I'm very curious to see how that all wraps up in the final episode next week. So, yeah. Do you have any other thoughts on like how this is wrapping up? Like what are like predictions for the finale?
I mean, I figured they're all singing together. There has to be some type of twist or like problem to make it interesting. I'm not sure what that's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
I was looking at our rankings here, and we are covering all of our 1 through 7 picks.
Yeah.
And the only one that's not in there is Given.
Well, that was 9 too. Anyway, it was like,
and that was number 9.
Well, it's actually tied for 8th, honestly. So.
Oh, it is tied for 8 too. So
yeah,
okay. So I guess we can say
we covered all our top picks. Yeah, eventually
we did cover our top picks.
We got there.
Eventually. It took us mid-season, but.
Any thoughts for you, Kat, on Carole Tuesday?
I've been really enjoying it, and I'm excited for the last episode.
Okay. All right. Well, we've only got one more episode of this season to go, so we should get to that.
Oh my god! I didn't have to watch 27 other shows for next season.
Lots of great anime coming out in fall.
I heard, and a lot of bad. I heard too. I don't know.
There might be some bad shows out there. This might be true. So we'll have some decisions to make, but it's fine. Kat, why don't you take us out, Kat?
All right. Thanks for listening. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe to us on YouTube to get updates on new podcasts or videos. You can also find our podcast on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, and Stitcher, and follow us on Twitter at Nerdom and Other for updates as well. Come hang out on our Discord with a link in the description. And with that, we'll see you next time. Bye.
See ya.
Later.
Bye.